At the beginning of the story, we see Yuuji, who was always bullied by his father for his lack of talent and has to survive through a lot. At the beginning, we are introduced to a girl named Kazuki, who is his elder sister and a genius. She made her family rich with her painting talent. On the other hand, Yuuji doesn't have any special talent, and that is why his family never treated him well. However, Kazuki always tries to take good care of her brother. She wanted to fill the void in his brother's heart. She would always encourage him and even treasured all the paintings Yuuji made for her. On the other hand, his father always mocked Yuuji's effort to the level that Yuuji destroyed his paintings himself in embarrassment. That night, Kazuki is shown trying to fix the painting while crying, and Yuuji hears everything silently. The next day, Yuuji returns from school and meets a man named Rei, who gives him chocolate from a unique box. Seeing this, Yuuji simply takes the chocolate and leaves. Yuuji's father called him a disappointment, but the strange man gave a sly smile. Kazuki's painting skills are so good that her family starts appreciating her work. Meanwhile, Yuuji finds an old piece of bread in the kitchen. The bread is so stale that he has to soak it in water to eat. Kazuki notices this, is shocked, and takes Yuuji to the fridge, telling him to eat whatever he wants. However, Yuuji hesitates, asking if it would be okay. Kazuki starts thinking that this might cause more trouble for Yuuji, as their mother would punish him. Kazuki hugs Yuuji and says, "I'm sorry I can't do anything for you," but this does not change Yuuji's resentment. One day, Yuuji tells Kazuki that he has made a friend for the first time. When Kazuki finds out that the friend is a girl, she tells Yuuji, "Before making friends, talk to me first," feeling jealous because she thinks Yuuji will now spend less time with her. She discourages him from making friends with the girl, suggesting he make friends with boys instead. Yuuji agrees and says he'll be careful. Later, Kazuki takes Yuuji to bath along with her, and kissed him, telling him that this is the true love she has for him. A few days pass. Kazuki joined a regular school and does whatever she wants and manipulated everyone to her will. This slightly benefits Yuuji as he starts gaining some respect in the family. But Yuuji's happiness didn't last long, as one day, Kazuki died in a terrible tragedy in a bus accident, and a red-haired girl was the only survivor. When the family saw the news of Kazuki's death on TV, they were deeply saddened. After her death, Yuuji's father fell into depression, and whenever he came home, Yuuji's mother would lock him up to save him from his father. Whenever Yuuji saw outside, he always saw his father harassing and torturing his mother. Afterward, Yuuji and his mother leave the house and move into a new home. Together, they started a new life, and Yuuji's mother finally starts showing him some love, fulfilling all his needs. However, their happiness doesn't last long, as his father, after a year, found out where they lived. Yuuji's father starts harassing his mother, demanding money, and misbehaving with her. He pushed Yuuji and he hit the fridge while falling. Enraged, Yuuji picked up the bottle lying on floor and remembered his sister's words when she asked him, "Which hand would you use to kill a man?" Yuuji hit his father with the bottle on his head and then comforted his mother. Yuuji's mom tells Yuuji to run away from there, telling him that she would join later. She gives all her savings to Yuuji and tells him to run away to the train station and wishing him luck to make it on his own. Yuuji leaves but cannot stay away for long. After hearing police sirens, he returns and sees two people carrying a body. Upon noticing the watch on the body, he realizes it belonged to his father. He goes back inside the house to look for his mother and sees two legs hanging. When he looks up, he sees his mother for the last time, which terrifies him, and fell unconscious. The next day, Yuuji is shown in a hospital where detectives accuse his mom of killing his father. A detective gives Yuuji a letter written by his mom, which says, "Forgive me for everything that has happened until now." Yuuji cries while reading the letter. The same man who gave Yuuji chocolate earlier comes and takes Yuuji with him. Now being Yuuji's guardian, he makes Yuuji wear a wig, making him look like a girl and very similar to his sister. His harassment continued as Yuuji thought that he at least has a place to live. But one day, Rei's bodyguard comes to Yuuji and tries to touch him inappropriately, even hitting him. In self-defense, Yuuji kills the man. Afterward, Yuuji is exhausted, but Rei arrives and, impressed by Yuuji's abilities, Rei congrats Yuuji for defending himself as he should have done. Rei then decides to send him to join his army camp. Rei plans to make Yuuji a skilled tool for him. Yuuji agrees, feeling he must repay for everything that has happened. In army training, Yuuji's talents begin to emerge. From shooting to excelling in various challenges, he gains recognition. However, other trainees start bullying him, but there was one girl who was kind to him, named Marlin, who had no memory of past. She used to give him medicine and shares food with him. Witnessing this kindness, Yuuji begins to think the world isn't entirely bad. He continues practicing and passes every mission. Ray used to go by the name of Oslo on the camp, and he used to train with real knife with Yuuji. He taught him how to kill before getting killed. Oslo brainwashed Yuuji into thinking that he was his only ally. Eventually, the time for final exam comes and Yuuji was supposed to kill his opponent. Just then Yuuji was pitted against Marlin in a fight. The fight would continue until one opponent admits defeat or dies. During the fight, Yuuji easily overpowered Marlin with his agility and strength and later lands a kick on Marlin. Hearing the sound of Marlin's screams reminds him of his mother's voice, making him think, "Am I becoming like my father?" Overwhelmed, he holds his head, feeling pain in his mind and heart. Taking advantage of this, Marlin kicks Yuuji in the face and beats him mercilessly, laughing at him. Marlin is declared the winner and Yuuji becomes a disappointment for Ray. That night, Marlin approaches Yuuji and apologizes for the fight, giving him medicines. Hearing this, Yuuji is reminded of his mother and feels awful. He starts thinking of himself as useless and incapable of doing anything. Marlin continued to talk to him daily and gave him food until the time of her graduation. On the day of graduation, she told him that she is going and would meet him later, but this was the last time Yuuji sees Marlin. Later, he is shown in a hospital where he learns that Marlin was killed during her first mission before completing it. He remembers all the moments he shared with her. Yuuji wondered if he could have saved her by beating her during their fight. After this, Yuuji is shown completing every assassination mission, effortlessly killing anyone in his way. However, one day law enforcement attacked Oslo's mansion and nearly wiped out his entire security. They found a hidden underground passage that led to a cellar and the officer named Asako decided to open the cellar. Upon opening the cellar, they found a white-haired girl chained inside it. He turned out to be Yuuji as his white hair fell down as soon as Asako touched him. Asako realized that she had made an interesting discovery. Meanwhile, Oslo managed to escape through water. Asako takes Yuuji into custody and go to his room for questioning. A girl named JB, who is both Asako's friend and a co-worker, joins her. Together, they start asking Yuuji some questions, but Yuuji refuses to answer any of them. Asako then commands him to get out of bed in next 40 seconds, but Yuuji didn't respond. As Asako was getting irritated and continued to threaten him, so JB yells at Asako to be more gentle. Asako then takes Yuuji to her home, where they notice bruises and severe injuries on Yuuji's body while helping him change his clothes. Seeing this, both Asako and JB feel concerned. JB brings some medicine, and they both try to feed Yuuji, but at the dinner table he refuses to eat. Just then, a fly lands near Yuuji, and he becomes furious, killing it with intense anger. This rage stems from the hardships and trauma of his past life. Eventually, Yuuji starts feeling sick and apologizes to Asako, saying, "I'm sorry, I killed him." Hearing this, Asako comes to comfort him, telling him not to puke in her already pathetic house. After Yuuji falls asleep, Asako reveals how this boy is more broken than she thought because she saw 2 gun wounds, multiple knife wounds and bruises on his body while bathing him. She and JB discuss how to help him. They decide to treat him like a friend to make him more comfortable. The next day, Asako tries to feed Yuuji forcefully, but Yuuji resists, saying, "I'm fine." Asako responds, "If you don't eat, I'll have to hurt you," but JB intervenes, calming the situation. One day, Asako gives Yuuji a puppy, whom they name John. Yuuji becomes very attached to John and begins playing with him. Seeing Yuuji's joy, Asako and JB comment, "He's still just a child." Playing with John brings Yuuji some peace, and he momentarily forgets his painful past. Observing this, Asako thinks about quitting her job and told JB about this, but JB was furious after listening this. She told Asako that she can't just quit like this, she will either be executed or imprisoned. She asked if she wants to quit because of Yuuji. Asako said that she is afraid of dying as she has to take care of Yuuji. Moreover, she is losing her vision and can't be a good sniper anymore. Later that night, Asako wakes up and finds Yuuji outside, gazing at the star-filled sky. Yuuji continues growing with time and kept training. Asako told him to run faster to be popular in girls. She also began to give him combat training to face his bullies in life. Yuuji kept training and Asako used to make him read every kind of books to become smart. One night Asako was cleaning her sniper rifle. She asked Yuuji, "Have you fired one of these before?" She took him to the jungle next day and Yuuji fired his first shot 300 meters and completely misses. However, he fired at the target in the next shot and Asako gave him a case as present for hitting the target. Yuuji opened the case and found Asako's sniper rifle in it. Yuuji asks Asako if he could call her master, and she gladly agreed. During winter they both go to shooting, but Yuuji gets nervous before shooting a deer. Asako understood that he has been through too much, so this was common. One night, Yuuji wakes up to find a bear inside the house. Alarmed, he grabs his gun but hesitates to shoot. The bear grabs John and begins leaving. Seeing this, Yuuji panics, drops to his knees. Finally, he musters up the courage and resolves to rescue John. Yuuji chases the bear, realizing that John has become part of his family and he wouldn't let his close ones get hurt. When he catches up, he tries to attack the bear with a knife, but the bear disarms him and throws the knife away. Yuuji recalls traumatic memories from his past and thinks, "I should have killed the bear earlier." He attacks the bear with a stick, aiming for its eyes, and prepares to use his gun. However, just as he is about to shoot, two bear cubs appear. Seeing them, Yuuji hesitates and lowers his weapon, realizing the bear was simply protecting its family. Overcome with emotion, Yuuji sits down and questions himself, "Why didn't I shoot?" Meanwhile, the bear cubs start eating John. Yuuji, feeling helpless after the incident with the bear, goes to Asako to apologize. He confesses, "I should have killed that bear." Asako reassures him, saying, "It's not your fault," and hugs him. After a moment of comfort, she helps him understand that the situation wasn't his mistake. Asako listens to Yuuji's desire to become strong so he never loses anyone again. She tells him, "You'll become strong not by hurting others, but by protecting those you care about." They both end the conversation on this note. They spend the sunset burying John's collar. A few years later, Asako and JB were talking about Yuuji's plot development. JB get anxious and ask what kind of development is she referring to. Asako says, the development when he removed her plot armor and climaxed all over her. JB shouts at her that she shouldn't have done it, and Asako taunts her that this is why she has never experienced plot development. Asako tells her that it's obvious as they are man and woman living in same house for 2 years. Yuuji remembers how he was with Asako in shower when she asked him about his birthday and he told her it was today. She told him that she is going to give him a wonderful gift, and when he asked what was the gift, Asako told him that it's her, she will be the present. JB asks if she has only done it one time. Asako tells her that they have been developing plot every day, ever since that day. Just then Yuuji comes with ramen and JB pretends like they were talking about something else. Asako teases her that this is why she could never develop. She asked JB to give Yuuji a try, as she has trained him well in plot development too. Asako gets JB drunk, and then Yuuji takes her for a ride on his plot armor. Again, few years passed and Asako's health begins declining. Yuuji notices that her hands are shaking and vision getting blurred. He begs her to stop drinking as she is the only close person he had. Asako refused to accept that she was sick, but it was clear to Yuuji. She began zoning out more and more, even missing her work calls. Once Asako falls asleep while her phone rang for a job. Yuuji answered it and went to complete the job on her place. This goes on for few days until JB finds out that Yuuji's been doing Asako's jobs. JB starts yelling at Asako for making Yuuji do her job just like Oslo. Yuuji intervenes and tells her that he did that on his own whim and Asako never asked him to go on her place. JB yells at Asako while taking Yuuji out for a walk. When she asks if Yuuji really wanted the job's license, he answers yes. The next day, Asako arranges for Yuuji to go to America and enroll in an academy for further training. After reaching America, he was on his way to attend military school, where he met a big man who asks him what he did that he's in this hole. Yuuji reveals that it's because he ended his parents. This startles him, but Yuuji says he's just joking. After being certified, Yuuji tells the man that he should get his own shoes if he doesn't want athlete's foot. The soldier wonders how he knows this, and Yuuji reveals that he's been a soldier since he was a kid, but the man thinks he's just joking. In the bedroom, the man calls him an Asian boy, but Yuuji tells him he's Japanese and introduces himself as Yuuji. The man mocks him and calls him Eugene because he looks like a girl, but Yuuji corrects him. The man introduces himself as Danny. Danny calls Yuuji Shorty, and Yuuji gives up correcting him. The next day, the commander slaps Yuuji because he was Asako's student. He told Yuuji that he should be grateful and honored by the slap. During lunch, Danny makes fun of the commander's face, but Yuuji finds her attractive. Danny tells him that he thinks she's a gorilla that would never get married, but Yuuji calls her attractive. Danny thinks that Yuuji is insane, but Annie comes from behind and gives Danny punishment. During range practice, Yuuji shoots every single bullet on point, which surprises the commander, as Asako was the best sniper in the world. She was the only one who used to accomplish such a feat. A girl hears their conversation and oversees Yuuji being awarded first place in sniping. She comes up to him later at night, asking him to talk with her. She introduces herself as Millie, and they go next to the swimming pool. Yuuji restrains her after she punches him until she apologizes. Yuuji asks her what she wants and eventually gives it to her. Millie tells him that she meant marksmanship, and they go to a range together with her weapon. She tells him that her father used to hit these targets when they were out of range but believed that all of it was just him being drunk and lying. Yuuji's first shot misses, and she tells him that he only has 6 shots left. Yuuji asks her what the color of the sky is today, then takes aim and fires, hitting the target. After that day, his training was complete, and he was sent overseas for his final exam. On the ship, Danny kept teasing him about Millie, how he was giving her small plot while Danny could have given her plot bigger than she could imagine. One day, they were deployed into an actual mission inside the forest. Yuuji looks at his squad: a former car thief and thug from Arizona, a poor girl who used to sell herself, an anime otaku who loves his sister, and finally, a sniper that can't kill anyone. They were the most useless group in the entire army. But Danny interrupts his thoughts and asks him if he would like to shoot a bird. Yuuji takes aim and fires, hitting the bird but begins throwing up. He wonders how he would handle killing a person if this is what a bird did to him. They're introduced to their acting commander on the field. As the battle begins, Yuuji fires to neutralize the enemy but throws up after shooting. His friends continue fighting on the front lines as they wait for reinforcements. The commander tells Yuuji that the enemy is inhuman and that it's okay to hesitate when killing people, but he shouldn't sit back and watch his family die helplessly. His commander tells him to kill them. He gives him permission to do it, and one by one, the enemy falls. The commander continues counting the number of enemies being neutralized. Not a single shot is wasted, and the entire enemy front line gets cleared by Yuuji. After the battle, Yuuji fell unconscious and woke up in Millie's lap. After a while on the battlefield, his resolve becomes stronger, and he isn't influenced by the constant battles and explosions around him. After a while, Yuuji returns home. It was a windy day when he returned to his old mountain, and the paths were the same as before. He saw Asako sitting on the front porch, and she thinks that he looks more mature now. After great plot development, Yuuji tells Asako that seeing her face was the first time he's ever been glad that he's alive. Yuuji tells her that he doesn't know what to do with his life, but that he wants to give every bit of it to her. After that, he returned to the battlefield again, finished his final training, but that was the last time he'd ever seen Danny's friendly, smiling face. A few months passed, and during one of Yuuji's missions, JB called him to come home immediately because Asako had collapsed. The only information he'd received was that it was a chronic condition from being shot many times in her life. Doctors tried to treat her, but her body had become extremely fragile from all the missions she was forced to take during her deployment. Once Yuuji arrived, JB told Yuuji that Asako had been drifting out of consciousness very frequently and that she'd been dozing off longer than usual. Yuuji apologized for taking so long to get home. She holds his hand, and Yuuji asks her if she is dying, to which she says that she is. She apologizes for always lying to him that she would stay alive with him. He begins crying, telling her that he hasn't learned everything from her yet, but she tells him to stop crying and to be more of a man like she taught him. She tells Yuuji that she's finally understood what her life means now that she's about to die. It was her resolve that allowed her to save him and spend her life with him. Yuuji cries, telling her that he wanted to believe in her till the end because she was the only reason he had for living. Asako tells him to live his life for his own sake from now on. After all, that's the type of man she's always wanted him to become. He tells her that he can't and that he only survived because of her. He wonders what type of future it's going to be without her, but she encourages him to find out for himself, to keep fighting and struggling, and to be the man she always wanted him to become. She tells him she's accepted that she's going to pass on, but Yuuji asks her who gave her permission. Even if it was God, Yuuji wants to fight him off to keep her by his side. Asako tells him to stop being so silly. He spends the rest of the time with her, and she tells him the stars are so pretty today. Asako tells Yuuji that she remembers him looking out at the stars and crying when he first came to live with her. She asks him what he was thinking about, but Yuuji tells her that he can't remember. Then Asako laughs, telling him that she knew his response. She tells him that she's tired and asks him if she could go to sleep. Yuuji tells her that she can go to sleep, and after that, Asako never woke up. I hope you guys enjoyed this anime recap, and if you did, please like this video and subscribe for more anime recaps.